I am going to stroke my own ego a little bit here.
That's okay.
Yeah, that's what you're here to do. Yeah, you're here to talk about yourself.
I really don't even like telling people that I fight.
Really?
Non-confrontational. I really don't like, even arguing with people. Like, I want to be everybody's friend, but when I was Caveman, it allowed me to be a savage.
I was just thinking, you got very personal things.
You were thinking that?
Yes,
okay,
yes.
so yes. I always said I'm here to entertain. And that's part of my walkouts and all of that stuff, right?
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, especially being a kid from Kansas, you got to get kind of lucky. And I did get my lucky moment. 2 fights to get to the finals.
Yeah.
Fought for $100,000, knocked the guy out, walked out with an animatronic dinosaur, and then partied my ass off in Florida. Even if they're in the UFC, that doesn't mean that they've made it. Spiral in my head, like I will never, ever experience that again. You know what I mean? And this and that. Even when I would lose, you know what I mean? It was still an exciting fight. People loved it. So I'm not the poster example of, you know what I mean, toughness. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Like growing up in some hard struggles and all
It looks
this
like it
stuff.
though.
Like, wait, what?
Hold on, sorry, I'm gonna back up.
How dare you?
We're taking shots, so we might as well go there. But
Really determined passions as well as high performance in that area. So what can you tell about people for finding their passion?
hello, and welcome to today's episode of Turtleneck Table Talk, the podcast that seeks insightful conversations while promoting the growth of our community. I'm your host, Devin, and this is Austin, and we are pumped for today's guest.
That's right. We got a sweet intro for today because, ladies and gentlemen, stepping into Shocker Studios today, we've got a true legend of the cage, an MMA fighter who's built a legacy with his fists, his heart, and undeniable entertainment. With a professional record of 22 wins, 6 losses, 7 knockouts, and 7 submissions. I think those stats are correct, but we'll...
Sounds right.
Yeah.
Sounds right.
Roll with it.
He is the proud owner of 316 MMA Gym, passing on his knowledge to the next Neanderthal mentality fighters. I read that wrong, but that's all right. And please welcome the one and only Devin Caveman Rickels.
I'm here, baby.
Welcome to the show, man. How you feeling? I'm just gonna do that now.
You getting hot in that thing?
Yeah, it's a little hot.
My guy's sweating over there.
A little bit. The pro Lycra Lira material
that's
can
right.
kind of bog you down sometimes, but dude, we're excited to have you. You were one of our top guests.
Yes.
The top guest,
You were
actually.
actually the top guest because we made a little matrix
did.
and we had like a point system and a scale
Oh,
and
okay.
everything. We had like a list of like 40,
We
50
overcomplicate
people.
a lot of stuff.
That's what we do. And you were number one. So
Let's
that's
go,
why.
baby.
Yes,
I'm
yes.
excited. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
That makes me feel good.
As you should, man. As you
yeah.
should. Well, we got a little intro for you just there, but starting out, what would you want your intro song to be, and what was maybe your favorite one that you did?
Everybody walked the dinosaur.
Everybody walked the
With the
dinosaur.
okay.
I walked out. I rented an animatronic dinosaur.
Yes,
That was my
you see
favorite
that?
one.
Yes.
And I walked it out to the cage and knocked out one of the, it was a tournament, okay? So to premise everybody to understanding, there was a whole tournament. I had 2 fights to get to the finals.
Yeah.
Fought for $100,000, knocked the guy out, walked out with an animatronic dinosaur, and then partied my ass off in Florida.
Dude, that's how you do it.
That's how you do it.
Oh my gosh. That seems like the pinnacle of your career, possibly.
Oh, I mean,
Possibly.
yeah. No, I mean, it was definitely,
one
That
of
was
them.
that was for sure my peak breakout.
Yeah.
So another like crazy thing that was going on right at the same time was that's when the Shockers were
That was
doing
the
really
March-
well
yeah.
in the
Ron
March Madness and all
Baker.
of that. So
Yeah.
they'd have me on one TV and then the Shockers on another
Wow.
TV. And
Wow.
that's when my name kind of blew up in the city.
Gotcha. Peak Wichita sports as well.
Oh yeah.
For sure.
No, it was that was definitely like my breakout moment.
Yeah. Well, how did you get to that point? We're kind of interested in how you knew you had an MMA career ahead of you, and was it because little Susie beat you up on the playground and you were like, never again? What kind of got you into that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, something about my face. Like people wanted to punch it when I was younger.
I was just thinking, you got very personal things.
You were thinking that?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
so yes, so Very punchable face. So yeah, no, I had to defend myself quite a bit in high school. I say defend myself, but I usually punch them first. So I was just a person who did not like people, bullies, right? Like, you're trying to bully me, you're not gonna bully me. I'm gonna punch you in your mouth.
I'm gonna bully you.
And that's, I hate to say it, but that's like, I was never a verbal person. Like, I was not a shit talker. Am I allowed to say stuff?
You can say whatever you want.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's your.
Yeah.
We want you.
Okay, good. Okay. Well, I was not like I'm very non-confrontational, which is strange for ending up being a professional fighter. But even from like an early age, I'm non-confrontational. I want to be friends with everybody. But like, if someone would break that confrontation barrier, that's when I would end up fighting. And so I got in a lot of fights in high school, got into trouble, this and that. And, I wrestled through high school as well. And basically, one of my wrestling friends, he told me about an MMA gym.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, hey, you want to do something with our wrestling? Let's go check out this MMA gym. And I got choked out, beat up, thrown around. And I'm like, oh, wow, this is where I want to be.
Psycho.
I feel like one of two things happens when you first join an MMA gym, because inevitably you are going to get beat up.
Sure.
That's what happens when you first go to an MMA gym or a fight gym, right? And one of two things happens is you say, hey, I want to learn this and I want to be the one doing the beating up at some point, or you just, it's too much for you and you quit. And that happens to a lot of people. I mean, the MMA gyms, as an owner as well now, is kind of a revolving door. People come in, they try it out, they go, but then you get those, I don't know, maybe 10% that's what they want to do forever.
Yeah.
So, and then as you slowly build those gyms into something big.
That's what it takes. Yeah. And who was it that realized you were that 1 in 10 and you had the potential to keep going on in your career? Because you have a pretty awesome one. We'll keep talking about that here.
Well, if we're talking about me, and I'm not trying to, I am gonna stroke my own ego a little bit here.
That's okay.
Yeah, that's what you're here to do. Yeah, you're here to talk about
the amount of people to make the amount of money that I did and to make a career out of fighting is more like 1 in a million. I mean, even in the UFC today, these guys will start off making 10 grand,
right?
And then they have to pay taxes on it, and then they have to pay their coaches. No one can live off of that, right? So a lot of people don't talk about the fact that, like, MMA fighters, even if they're in the UFC, that doesn't mean that they've made it. You know what I mean? So for me to create the career that I did in Bellator, I think I still am probably like number 2 for most fights in Bellator history. Awesome. It's the sister company of the UFC, basically, right? But I had 22 fights for them. I might have been 23, but that's a lot of fights under one company, right? So becoming that company man, staying in the game, right? Staying at the high level is hard, right? Getting in the UFC or Bellator, getting 2-3 fights, and then you get kicked out. I mean, that didn't do much for you. You know what I'm saying? So making a career out of it is really hard. That's all I'm really getting at, is that making a career out of it is extremely hard. And luckily, I was able to do that for quite some time. Luckily, I was also fairly smart and took my money and did other things with it as well. Right, we get paid in lump sums of cash, but
that's scary.
That's very easy to throw away.
I believe it.
So, that 1 in a million is probably more close to, actually creating a career and being able to do something with it as a fighter. I mean, it really is hard, and that's why I wanted to start a gym as well, was to like show these guys how to properly do it.
That's amazing.
So what was like the process from like transitioning from being like an amateur fighter to getting signed with Bellator?
Man, luck.
I believe
For
that,
me,
yeah.
it was pure luck. I swear to God. Okay, so I basically like. It's funny because I mean, I'm gonna lead into your question here, but I wanted my first fight. You know, when I first started training, I'm like, I gotta get one fight. You know what I mean? I've been training. I got to do one fight. Win the fight. I'm like, let's do a few more fights. Let's see how this goes. I'm undefeated as an amateur. I'm like, man, maybe I should just go pro. Maybe I should just try out going pro, right? Go pro. Okay, well, man, is it possible? I think I was 9-0 or 7-0 as a professional at this point, undefeated amateur. I'm like, could I actually make money doing this? Could I make a career out of this? And so you start thinking about those things, and truthfully, I mean, especially being a kid from Kansas, you got to get kind of lucky. And I did get my lucky moment. A guy named Sean Wheelock, who was the commentator for Bellator, just happened to be at one of my amateur fights. Or I mean, I say amateur, but it was a professional fight. But it was, a small show, is what I'm saying. So, as a professional, I was fighting on these small shows where the UFC would never notice you, Bellator would never notice you, but their commentator, the guy who actually does the commentating for Bellator, happened to be at one of my fights, and I woke up with a contract the next day.
Wow.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
Yeah, he goes, "I'm sending you a contract. Bellator would love to have you. We know you're a very good fighter, and that the rest is kind of history."
Yeah. Yeah. So what was it that got you that? Was it just reckless abandon for?
Well, that's actually how I fight all the time.
Yeah, I believe it.
With reckless abandonment. Yeah.
They're like, we need this guy. This is must-see TV.
I think it might have been Sean, the commentator. He called it the technical bum rush.
The technical bum rush.
Oh.
That's
so,
funny.
I'm just like a forward fighter, very aggressive. But yeah, that style and that, like, I mean, that's what people like to watch. It's just the truth, right? Like people that want to march forward and fight and get hit and make it bloody and make it a fight. So I was kind of a fan favorite, and that's what made it easy for me to stick around and this and that. Even when I would lose, you know what I mean? It was still an exciting fight. People loved it. So it's kind of one of those things like, yes, it was a reckless abandonment, So, but that was what I enjoyed. Like I always said, I'm here to entertain, and that's part of my walkouts and all of that stuff, right?
Yeah, for
so
sure.
like I'm here to entertain everyone. That's what they're paying me for. They're not even paying me to win. They're paying me to.
You do get a little bonus.
Oh
though.
no, you double your money if you win. So
That's nice. That's nice.
Yeah, there's a little incentive. You know what I mean?
We're not gonna throw it. Crazy. Yeah, man. Well, there's a lot. We want to talk about the walkouts for sure. But while we're on your career here, when you're thinking about joining Bellator in some of the most memorable fights you've had there, what comes to mind first?
Well, I mean, I already hit on it, but my favorite was absolutely the tournament finals. You know what I mean? Like, being a young kid from Derby, Kansas.
Yeah.
Growing up truthfully with not a lot of struggle and this and that. I'm not the poster example of, toughness. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Like growing up in some hard struggles and all
It looks
of
like
this
it
stuff.
though.
Like, wait, what?
Hold on, sorry. I'm gonna back up.
Hold on.
Shots fired.
Damn, he fired on me, didn't he? But
What's up, bro? I'll
no,
put the
that
mask
was
back
good.
on.
That was good. I like that. I love the banter. But yeah, so I mean, like for me to get there and to do it and then win the tournament in the fashion I did, the guy that I was fighting in the tournament, his name was Sadawad. He knocked out both of his opponents in the first minute of both of his fights before he got to the finals. So for me to go in there and knock him out, it was huge, right? Like it was kind of like I said, my big breakout moment, my poster moment, and that was definitely like the big one for me. And then a cool thing that I really like is I had One where I fought for the title and I got knocked out, unfortunately, by Michael Chandler. Right? But I had a very, very good second fight with him. You know, I still lost, but that's always something I'll remember. You know what I mean? Because, you know, we still get to see him today in the UFC, right? Like, he's one of the best of the best. So, you know, it's cool to kind of look back and go, you know, I fought that guy twice, actually. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I lost, but he's pretty damn good, you know? So it's one of those things, like, that's I like looking back on it, at least. You know what I mean? So
For sure.
So speaking on looking back at losing, how did you?
How dare you?
Hey, we're taking shots, so we might as well go there. But like, how do you overcome like handling a loss? Because we can even take it back to like your first loss at Bellator 69, where you had been undefeated before that, and then it was kind of a controversial decision.
Yeah.
How do you like cope with that?
Man. Well, you know, when it's a decision you think you won, it's honestly not that hard. But, you know, I will say that you see a lot of people, and I'm going to use Ronda Rousey as a prime example. When she got knocked out, she basically retired and didn't want to do the sport anymore. You know, so and I've been knocked out, and it's not something that's pleasant, right? Especially when it's, you know, I was fighting for the world title when I first got knocked out, right? And you wake up, it sucks. You wake up and how is this possible? How did this happen? You know, I went straight to the bottle, bro. I'm not gonna lie. And you have to cope with those feelings though, you know? So for me, I've always just been, I like an adversary, right? And I have to have something to fight against, okay? So when I would lose, it would fire me up even more. So like, I always felt that I was better after losses, truthfully. Because I would be like, I'll do anything to make sure that never happens again. Right. And like that would like, I mean, I can feel it right now. Like it would spiral in my head. Like I will never, ever experience that again. You know what I mean? And I will do anything to make sure that it doesn't. And I'm just that was always like kind of my mentality and stuff like that. You know, the worst was when I'm on 3 or 4 wins in a row. I'm complacent. I know, you know, that complacency was never actually good for me. You know, I have to have something to fight against, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I think George St. Pierre said it when he was like, when he actually felt good about a fight and he didn't have butterflies is the only one he lost.
Yeah.
And is that something similar you would say?
No.
Not at all.
No. Man,
what was your mentality
I hate
going
to
into
say
fights?
it. I'm just gonna be truthful. I lost a lot of the fights where I had an inkling of doubt. Right?
Where you didn't believe in yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's 100% it. And it makes it easy for you as the fight's going to go, oh, well,
Look back.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not doing as good as I thought I was going to do. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
or I'm, you know, or I'm doing what I thought I was going to do. I'm getting beat up, right? I'm losing the fight. Oh, just, you know, and it allows you to spiral into like, oh, it's okay if I lose. You know what I mean? So for that's me personally. Everybody's different. But the ones where I had an inkling of doubt were always the ones that were either very closer than they should have been or I lost. And the ones where I'm like, I mean, I can go back and I can watch a lot, and I obviously remember, but the ones where I'm like having fun and I'm like, oh, I can't wait to get in there. This is going to be amazing. And that really does happen sometimes. And sometimes I'm out there and I'm like, what am I doing? Why am I about to walk out and go fight right now? I actually have a very funny story. You talked about I fought a guy named Carl Amasu down in New Orleans, or around New Orleans, Louisiana. And I had that controversial first split split decision loss. Well, Carl was also known for knocking everybody out. Big, scary dude, honestly.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting in the backstage probably 30 minutes before the fight's about to happen, and I'm very nervous. You're always nervous.
Right.
That never goes away. You're always nervous. But they had just wrapped my hands. That's right. They just wrapped my hands. Okay, so my corners, everybody leaves for a minute, and I see the scissors sitting over there that they use to cut off the hand wraps after the fights and stuff like that. And I'm looking at the scissors, and I'm like, if I grab those scissors and stab myself in the leg, I won't have to go fight right now.
Oh, that's dangerous.
And I'm
Where
like,
in the
no
world?
one's here. No one would know. You know what I mean? All my cornermen had left and stuff like that. So I'm like, if I grab these scissors and cut myself bad enough, you know, I won't have to go fight. And that's just to like, I'm just trying to like iterate like how your mind plays tricks on you and talks to you and like talks bad about yourself. I've watched myself get knocked out 1,000 times in every single fight, and I've also watched myself win. Right? It's constantly a playing the tape of like the worst outcomes, the best outcomes, this, that, and you know it all spirals down, and you know exactly when it's gonna happen. Pretty much, I'm up in 30 minutes. I gotta sit around and wait. Right? And like sitting and living in those feelings and emotions is extremely hard, and that's why most people can't do it.
Mm-hmm. And
it's one thing if your girlfriend gets slapped at the bar to punch the guy, right? That's different.
yeah.
But if that guy says, meet me with
let's
50 of your best friends and family members, and we're going to fight to the death on March 2nd, you have 30 days, right? Now you have to think about that the whole time. Oh, and my family's going to be watching. My friends are going to be watching. You know, it's just it's a totally different thing, you know, than fighting in like an emotional space, right? Mm-hmm. When you have to sit and think and live in the feelings and the emotions, like it's extremely hard.
Yeah.
And a lot of people can't do it.
So how did you prepare for that? Because I'm sure it changed as you got older and better. Like going in with unmatched confidence and also going in with, you know, if I stab myself, we can get out of this.
Well, I mean, just to point out that point, that was, you know, halfway into my career. I was a professional at that point.
Yeah, that's insane.
And I went out there and fought my ass off and had a beautiful fight.
That's insane.
So like that's something to think about too, right?
Yeah.
Like, so like I always knew I try to tell all the fighters, like, you know their feelings are gonna come. Mm-hmm. You have to come and let them go, and know that it, you know, you just know they're going to be there and be okay with that. Mm-hmm. You have to be able to sit in those emotions, allow them to come and go, and say, I know it's going to be okay because when I walk out, I'm still going to fight my fight. Mm-hmm. Right? And that's like always how I try to do it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, when I get those feelings, I'm like, just had them last fight. And the fight before, and the fight before,
it's gonna be all
and
right.
the fight before, and guess what? It's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
No matter what, when the lights turn on, and that was the truth. As soon as the lights would hit and my music came on, I was caveman. I was caveman, and like everything went whisk away. You know what I mean? Like all those feelings. Now it's time to go. Now it's time to be me.
Yeah.
Now it's time to be caveman. And like that was a little bit of my alter ego, right?
Right.
So it allowed me like a mental space to be like someone I wasn't in like day-to-day life. Like like I said, I'm non-confrontational. I really don't like, you know, even arguing with people. Like I want to be everybody's friend, but when I was caveman, it allowed me to be a savage.
Neanderthal.
Right. Yeah.
Absolutely. No, and that's such a cool, unique persona you took on that I think gave you the fans, gave you the career you had.
Oh,
and
yeah, certainly.
How did you come up with that? Where did that start?
Oh man, it just like any good nickname, it starts in the gym.
Yeah.
You know, believe it or not, I had hair at once. guy. So I had the like curly long locks, right? When I was younger. And you know, I do have a very big forehead. So, and then match that with my style.
Yeah.
So I had the long hair, the big forehead, match that with my style of just, you know, grunting and moving forward and fighting. People started calling me Caveman in the gym. Like, he fights like a caveman.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so the name just started there, stuck, and then I rolled with it. I played with it. You know what I mean? So.
When was the first time you brought a club out, and how did that transition into a full Flintstones cart?
God,
dude?
Yeah,
I
like, that
honestly
was
don't know. That's what's crazy.
Really?
I started playing with all that stuff in the amateurs, but like, I mean, probably halfway through my amateur fighting career.
Okay.
So like 6 fights in, something like that. I think, if I remember correctly, one of my mom's friends was like, I'm gonna make him a club.
Yeah.
Because he's the caveman.
Yeah.
And so he made me a club, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna walk out with this thing. You know what I mean? And then before you know it, I'm wearing a loincloth and all that shit, you know? So I started to just play with the caveman, you know, thing. So it was fun, man. I really loved it.
Then we got mechatronic dinosaurs.
Like, do you brainstorm all these like different
yes,
ones and just
absolutely.
like have like a Rolodex of like?
Well, like they always would just like we would kind of brainstorm and we'd just like think about different things we could do and like get creative and stuff like that. And you know, the mech dinosaur was a funny one because like we were probably like 3 weeks out from the fight, and I didn't really have an idea of what I was gonna do for it yet. And then somebody sent me like a reel or something on Instagram or whatever it was back then. Right. And it like had this dinosaur, right? Uh-huh. And, you know, I'm a few beers deep and I'm like, I'm just going to send them an email and see if they'll come to my fight. They messaged me back the next day and they were like, we're going to take care of our flight. Don't worry about payment. We're going to come. We want this for advertisement and all this stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? I was like, this is sick. I'm so happy. I was like, no way. And so like and you know, like I said, it's just one email. It just came forward and it worked out. And then, you know, the way everything transpired, the fight, how it went, winning the $100,000 tournament.
Man,
you know, I mean, it was like, I don't know.
Coincidence, maybe.
Yes,
or
I mean,
luck.
could be coincidence. Sure.
Or
yes. Right.
Maybe not.
Right. Yeah. Or divine. I'm not sure.
Hey, there's something to that for sure. But that promotion was, man, it's so awesome. Now I'm wanting to email some mechatronic dinosaur to interview or something like that. I don't know what we could do. But you have a gym now, and you can tell other fighters how to promote what they're doing. And are you telling them to send out emails to, you know, the next mechatronic dinosaur company or the? Well,
sure. Email anybody you want, but I mean, I do 100%. I'm like, go to your local businesses. Like, your fights cost you money. As an amateur, you pay to fight. You have to pay for your blood work, your medicals, your licensing and all that stuff, right? You're literally going out of pocket to fight. So, you know, go to mom and pop shop down the street and see if they'll sponsor you $100 to cover your, you know, I'm like, start building this rapport and stuff like in the community and stuff like that, letting people know that you're a fighter and, you know, and then, you know, oh, they have your poster up at their store now. Now people get to see, and, you know, it's that kind of thing. Like those small things over, you know, 5 years build up. You know what I mean? Like if you're making connections across the community, you know, really does help out the fighter.
Absolutely. Yeah. And sorry, I kind of skimmed over that, but you do have your own gym.
Yeah. You want to kind of talk about that a little bit and kind of the transition from going from, you know, being super active with fighting to now kind of training, you know, some of the future fighters?
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, I'm very lucky. I started a gym with a friend of mine, Cody Bittler. He's a jiu-jitsu black belt that grew up here, moved to California, did a lot of training out there, then moved back to do this gym with me. So we built the gym, and, you know, the big thing, I felt like it was kind of dying here in the city, like fighter wise. I mean, there's gyms everywhere, but like the people that want to train fighters is few and far between because fighters are jerks. A lot of them. Well, we're pretty lucky. We've got some good fighters that are actually really respectable and good people. But I definitely wasn't that when I was young. So, like, I put my coaches through hell. So, yeah. So, you know, training fighters, and it was kind of a niche that I really wanted to, like, tap into here in the area. And we absolutely train normal day-to-day people as well, right? But that was kind of like my focus was like, if there are fighters here in town that want to actually get to a level where they could go somewhere and do some things, I want to help them, right? Like I want to give them the proper tools, right? Instead of them having to move to Texas or Florida or California, because those are like the big, you know, the Globo gyms per se.
That's Globo gym.
Right? Like they're the Globo gyms for sure.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to get noticed there. But like, you know, I wanted to try to tap into something here and create something here that could possibly get noticed. And, you know, we're still working on it. Okay? That's just the truth of it.
Yeah.
I mean, we've only got what, 3 years, almost 3 years coming up. So, you know, we're still building the gym, still growing.
Right. What's your focus been on with developing the culture specifically? Because you've got some fighters now that are really pursuing their careers, and it's really cool to watch that growth. Even though you're saying it's maybe not where it could be in 10 years.
Oh yeah, we're definitely gonna be.
Yeah.
We're on the up and up for sure. Like I'm really happy with what we're doing. And Cody's a huge part of that. But yeah, like the culture, gritty, right? Like I don't know how to, like, we're all friends and family. Like we feel like it's a family. Like it feels like a family, but we're like all like, I'm gonna whip your ass today. You know what I mean? Like, and I want you to try to kill me too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Let's make each other better and bond in blood type of thing.
Ooh.
So
There's a phrase right there. Let's bond in blood.
yeah, for sure. So like,
probably don't put that at the like front of your gym for like the rest of the people. But for the people you're trying to train,
right? Yeah. But so yeah, like I mean, there's definitely like I said, you know, we 100% have like your normal day-to-day mom and pop that come in and train and stuff like that. But like we do have a culture of like fighters, and yeah, it's kind of that like we're bonding in blood.
Simply put, yeah. You get a lot of blood time out there.
Oh yeah, like I'm I'm ready for you guys to whip my ass.
Yeah.
Come please,
Yeah.
I want it. You know, because then I'm doing something right.
Yeah.
If you guys can beat me up, that we're teaching you the right things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like, it's one of those things where like, you know, when a student gets me with a good shot or something, I'm like, I'm proud. I'm like, I just taught you that last week. I'm like, damn.
Now watch this.
Yeah, for sure. No, yeah, definitely like beating them up as well.
There you go, man.
Yeah.
Dude, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, we're excited to watch that culture grow, and along with EFC. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
You
Yeah,
want to touch
EFCs,
base about
yeah.
that? Yeah.
No, I'd love to, because that was kind of the same idea as the gym. EFC started before the gym, but I didn't feel like we had any promotions here. And we had a bunch of guys that promoted and helped me build my amateurs and fight careers and stuff like that. But the truth is they did kind of like small and, you know, there's no production. There's no, they, you know, it's dark.
it's
There's
not
no
it's not a
lighting.
promotion.
It's-
Right.
it's
Yeah,
just-
right. Like
yeah.
they put on a show to make a few bucks. They weren't trying to, you know, and the truth is for a lot of our EFC fights that we've done, we didn't make a whole lot of money. I mean, we're doing okay now, but you know, it was like I want to give these guys a platform where they feel like big lights, big fights, they feel like real warriors going out there. You know what I mean? Like they're watching their name on the screen. You know, like I said, the lights are bright and the big crowds, like the people cheering. I mean, that's something I want Wichita fighters to be able to get used to before they have to go fight somewhere else. You know what I mean? Truthfully, I want them to be able to do it here. You know what I mean? I don't want them to have to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If they can build their career here and then be sent off to the UFC or Bellator or PFL or whatever, ONE FC, wherever, right?
Thumbs up. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, so like having a platform to promote Wichita fighters was my idea behind the UFC.
Yeah. Now, is there a vision to eventually like bring the UFC to Wichita, or build a gym that's regularly putting guys there? Or what's the future look like?
So UFC has been here one time.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I was really hoping this is a big shout out to Stephen the Ninja Wynn. He's in the UFC right now, Wichita fighter. And I'm just really hoping, he can, stack up some good wins and stuff like that and maybe influence, UFC to come here to Wichita again, right? Because that would be huge, right? I mean, just for our fighters to be able to see that and know that, they're here in my city, right? Like, it feels like it's no longer a pipe dream and it's
right.
possible.
You can see the road ahead of you.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm hoping for that too. That would be amazing.
No, it'd be sick. I mean, even if it was, once every couple of years or whatever, yeah.
Right. Yeah, who cares? And if, the caveman comes out of retirement to come fight
too.
Hey, whoa.
Out there, yeah.
Yeah, no, I definitely would. Hey, let's go.
Okay, there we go. That's a verbal commitment.
Yeah, you heard it on the pod. Yeah. Definitely bringing it back up. Yeah.
That's right.
Man, that'd be awesome. But yeah, no, and I don't know where the notes are at, but
let's see.
Scanning. I get lost.
Yeah. Well, before too, because we've been talking quite a bit about MMA and Bellator and whatnot, but you did a little bit of bare knuckle fighting. So what was that story that got you into it?
Cash money.
That was it.
Great answer.
Yeah.
Great answer. We know where your values are.
Money.
Yeah.
That's right. Because originally, I started seeing this bare knuckle stuff pop up, and I'm like, hell no. Never in my life. Why would they do that?
But you've always
And then
been
I got
like
the contract.
Oh, my gosh.
And then the contract came. I'm like, well, maybe.
But you've always been like boom, boom. What was the word again?
Technical bum rush.
Technical bum rusher. That mixes
yeah.
exactly what you want to do.
No,
there.
for sure. Yeah, I knew my style would be, if not great for it, would be entertaining at the very least.
Yeah.
Like I said, I started off not wanting to do it, and then I really just started to get it. I'm like, it'd be kind of cool to do a bucket list type of thing, like just to say I did it.
Yeah.
Right, because that's pretty. I mean, that's pretty savage.
Right? Yeah,
right?
like not many people can say that.
Right,
they've done that.
No, you could talk to UFC fighters who fight all the time, and you're like, hey,
I will not
would
do
you
that.
do? And they're like,
No.
no,
Yeah.
I ain't doing that.
Yeah.
Right, and like it kind of got to that for me. It was like, I was like, well, I want to do it just to say I did it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then the money, did kind of help.
Hey, do we have a disclosed amount on there?
I was making upwards of $50,000 per event. So
Nice.
Okay.
yeah,
It's pretty nice.
yeah, and like to just get that in like a check form is pretty nice. You know what I mean? So like,
Yeah.
like here you go. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. That's pretty nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was there ever, so there's like a lot of interviews where people are like, how'd you spend your first million? How'd you spend like your first like big check that you saw?
I bought crab rangoons.
Crab.
I ate nothing but crab rangoons for like a week straight.
Just like reheated crab rangoons, or you just ordering
Nah.
takeout all the time?
I cut weight all the time, so it's actually a side story. But I went to a buffet and I wanted to see how many I could eat in one sitting after one of my fights.
What was the number?
What would you get to?
23.
Dang, man, that feels good. I don't really have a.
Like a scale to
Right? You're like, I don't know how many.
I don't
I
know,
could
like,
eat,
how
right?
many
That's kind of a
sounds
hard.
good, though.
23 sound, but you're also like, I could probably do 30.
It's like, it's like it
Right?
sounds like
I
doable,
could
but then
probably-
you're like,
On an empty
like,
stomach, I could probably get that.
Right. Yeah. But no, like I said, I was pretty smart with my money. So honestly, most of it went to the bank.
Hey, there we go.
Yeah.
Invest.
Yeah.
Investing.
Yep.
Cool. Nice.
Yeah.
Boring
so
answer, but cool.
it's boring, right?
But it's
like,
smart. Yeah.
yeah, it was like, and then
Where's the Mercedes, man? Come on, dude. Come on.
Dude,
Where's the Bentley?
I have a
Where's all of it?
Nova. I have a 69 Nova that I rebuilt, but
That's
that was like, and that was during bare knuckles. So this is like way after all my fights and all that stuff.
You're like, now.
And I was like, I've never treated myself. Like, I'm just gonna go buy something cool. And I was like, I've never done it. I'm gonna go do it. And my wife was like, and I'm like, no, I'm doing it. I'm like, I'm gonna buy what I want. I just fought a man in a ring, bare knuckle.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go do what I want.
Yeah.
So I bought it, and now it's in the shop every week, and
Yeah.
it's a money pit.
Well, it's what you wanted.
Yeah.
It's what you
The
wanted.
dream.
What you wanted.
The dream.
Yes.
Is that an argument you use a lot? I just fought a man with bare knuckles.
Oh yeah,
I'm gonna do what I want.
Yeah, absolutely. That's
Alright.
a very good argument.
Yeah.
actually, if
it's hard to combat that either.
I would use
Like,
that card
I
all
would-
the time.
All the time, yes.
I only use like I play rugby and that only gets me like so far.
Yeah,
You know?
that's,
Yeah,
you know,
right.
It's not.
It's not, yeah.
It's like a what? Maybe like a 3 of clubs and that's the ace. You know. So, if we're talking cards here.
it's a very good card to play. Yeah.
What was the most recent time you used it?
Honestly, I can't even recall. I could. Okay, so that's funny you say that, but I really don't even like telling people that I fight.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Why?
I don't know. It always felt like. I don't know, weird. Like it felt like it was. I don't know what's the word I'm looking for.
Was it like a cocky thing?
Yeah, like I'm being a douchebag.
That,
Okay,
yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like oh yeah, I'm a professional fighter. Here, look at me. Look at my resume. Right? Like I never wanted to be that guy.
Yeah, but yet you were bringing out a dinosaur rolling up in a king chair. So.
I wanted to be that guy on fight night.
Yeah.
There we go.
We talked about the alter ego.
Yeah.
And that is exactly who I wanted to be on fight night because you had to be. You had to believe that you're shit. You had to believe that you're better than everybody else. You had to damn near look down on the other person you're fighting, right? So like that mentality and that way of thinking was, like I said, my caveman alter ego that's who I was on fight night.
Yeah.
That's who I wanted to be. That's, I wanted everyone in the world to watch me and see me, right? But like, in my day-to-day life, I'm like, oh, that person just looked at me. I'm going the other direction.
No, that's so funny.
It looks like he wants to talk to me. I gotta go.
That's funny. Do you ever get recognized though in public? People are like, "Oh my god."
I mean, it still happens today, but like I said, when WSU was playing at the same time and I won the tournament, like yes.
Yeah.
But one cool kind of story was I walked into one of the clubs downtown. I think it was the very next weekend after I won that big tournament, and the music stops. And he's like, Dave, the Caveman Rickels is here. And he hits Everybody Walk the Dinosaur. Doo, 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 doo. And I was like, oh. I was like, they really that's when it kind of really hit. Like, damn, everyone was paying attention. You know what I mean?
That rocks.
Yeah. So it was kind of cool.
And you just busted out the moves rest of the night.
That's right. Yeah.
There you go. 8 crab rangoons after 2. Yeah.
Yep.
What's up?
Everybody knows that's my weakness.
Crab rangoons. We should have brought some. We
know.
should know these things
Yeah, I know.
beforehand and be like, So, tell us how much money you
Yeah,
made. Use your crab range.
Yeah,
game.
for sure.
Oh man, but using that persona, would you turn it on when you had to like do promotions when you were talking like going to interview face to face with this guy? And you're like,
I would try to play the character, right?
yeah, absolutely. Any funny stories from doing the promotions like that before the fight?
No, I do kind of. I'm just gonna go ahead and go on my own tangent here, but just funny stories, right? Funny stories. Funny stories. I heard funny stories. Well, like me and my coach had this thing where like we try to. Maybe he did it on purpose, but he'd notice something about the guy I was fighting that would be like, funny, like something like kind of. Like, I'll just give you an example. Like, we showed up to one of my fights, and I was fighting this. I think he was like 21 and he was like 21-2. So very good fighter, super well, like notoriety, like very good fighter from Canada, and he was wearing fingerless gloves. So we see him with the fingerless gloves, and we're like, oh my God. No way. Not that guy. That guy is not whipping my ass.
So you were just picking on that.
Oh yeah, dude. So we just and we just constantly talk about it. And we piggyback off of it when we talk about his mannerisms and stuff. So like you
smooth,
you
buttery
kind
man
of
paws.
you make him more human, right? Like, and so like we did a lot of those things, like. Well, actually, this is actually pretty good. One time I was walking down to the weigh-ins for one of my fights, right? And out of the elevator comes the guy that I'm fighting. Okay? So he walks out towards me, sees me, turns right, directly into a wall.
What?
He got nervous, turned, walked, stood, stared at the wall.
Are you serious?
Swear to God. And me and my coach were sitting there, and we're just like, we just start cracking up, and we're pointing at him and laughing. And he fucking runs off, dude. And like after that, like
I know you won that fight.
yeah, I whipped his ass. That's what I'm saying. Like sometimes you get signs, like you're like, it's just the strangest thing. Like sometimes, like the mental warfare is very real.
Oh yeah,
like that is very real. And sometimes you get those weird moments where like you can kind of break people before you even fight. Right? And a lot of times it was never even intentional. You know what I mean? Like
just
it's
walking
like
into a wall.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So
That's
there's a
common
lot
going
of hilarious moments from fighting and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
definitely one of them.
No, using that mental warfare, I feel like is what do they say? 90% mental, 10% physical, or whatever percentage. 10% luck, 20% skill.
Yeah.
5% power of
Go
will.
ahead. There you go. Yeah.
I don't, dude. I wish I knew that right now.
Well, yes, I very much believe that. I mean, when you're talking about fighting at like the highest level, like UFC and stuff like that, everyone's good. They're all very, very good.
So you have mental edges
Right.
at that point.
And if you can gain that mental edge, right? I mean, that's huge.
Yeah. And even recently in the UFC, people have been talking about the spiritual edge, like with Poatan and Yuri Prohaska. Have you ever dipped into any of that?
I don't know about
that stuff's crazy.
It's crazy to talk about.
It is.
But with Poatan, the thing is he's very stoic.
Oh yeah.
No emotion.
Shama.
Yes, Shama. And so, that can get to fighters too. You know what I mean? Like, even in his last fight, he got clipped, and you saw for a split second the facial change of like a little bit of worry, but then he went right back to
ridiculous,
calm, chill. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, there's been a lot of fighters over time that fight with that kind of demeanor and stuff like that, but they can instill fear, right? When they look calm and you're internally freaking out, right? Like that can be a problem, right? Even if they're internally still, which they probably are. Alex Poton actually talks about it all the time, that he's always scared before he fights and this and that. You know, if you're struggling with those emotions and you see someone, you think, oh, they're so calm. Why are they so calm? Right? That can be like it's just a mental warfare. It's a mental edge. Yeah.
Absolutely. Speaking of the current UFC though, and we'll just say MMA in general, I want to ask you a little sizzle clip here. Your Mount Rushmore of MMA fighters. Who is that top 4? No, in no order. You don't have to put
Fedor,
order.
Anderson, GSP.
You gonna put yourself up there? Or no?
No.
Yeah.
Caveman?
Yeah. Fedor, GSP, Anderson Silva. I don't know.
That's the top 3 though.
Nick Diaz, maybe.
There you go. That's a great top
solid,
4
yeah.
for sure. What did you like about all those fighters? Was there a common trait?
Uh,
They're good at fighting for one, but that's
no, because they're all very different. Like,
Yeah,
I like
I
them
was
for
gonna
their
say.
unique reasons, honestly. Like Fedor was the very stoic, standing in the corner like this before he fights, and then he would brutally knock people out, right? Like, and then GSP was, I think, the smartest fighter that ever fought, and by far the most athletic. I think if he was in his prime today, he'd be a problem for anybody still. Anderson Silva, fight IQ was off the charts. He made people look silly when he fought him, and he had one of the longest runs in the UFC, period.
yeah.
So, and then Diaz is just, my God, fun to watch.
Yeah, absolutely.
Flipping people off while he's fighting and, laying down in the middle of the ring, taking a nap.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
It's ridiculous.
so they were all for their kind of unique reasons, at least for me. So,
And then kind of flipping that question around to yourself, like who are your personal, like your Mount Rushmore of inspiration? Just in like your
well, my
everyday life?
father, absolutely, man. And I think a lot of men would probably say that about their fathers. At least I hope so. But my father was a huge inspiration. Like, he was always who I wanted to be. You know what I mean? Like, as a father, like growing up, being a father myself, I'm like, man, I want to be like my dad was to me, kind of thing. And then I had one of the best mentors you could possibly have in the fight game. His name was Joe Wilk. He was the best man at my wedding. He's still my best friend to today. And he kind of took me under his wing and helped me understand fighting at a bigger level, right? Like, what I'm trying to do for fighters now is what he did for me. So, like, yeah, I mean, without him, I don't think I would have had the career I did. Joe the Nose Wilk from Manhattan, Kansas. And I moved out there to live with him. And I moved out there for 3 years and did most of my Bellator career out there with him. And, him and my dad, probably the most influential people in my life.
Okay, we got 2 more.
Yeah, round out
2
that.
more?
Round
Oh,
out
my
that
goodness.
Mount Rushmore. Round it out, man. Chisel those faces out.
My goodness. I don't even know, to be honest. I feel horrible. I mean, honestly, I'll just kind of, someone who got me into fighting, I grew up with one of my friends. His name's Scott Miller. He's Japanese, and he had all of these DVDs that we watched when we were kids, probably 4th, 5th grade, and they're called Pride Fighting. Mm-hmm. And like, for the people that don't know, this was like Japan's UFC. Pride Fighting was like the biggest show overseas that existed. And you had guys like Fedor and Wanderlei Silva and Mirko Krokop and all those guys. And I've just fell in love with those tapes and fell in love with fighting from an early age, from watching that stuff. And then that kind of trickled into watching the UFC and that sort of thing. And, you know, that was always not everybody. I wanted to be Rocky, right? Like I watched the movie and I'm like, man, I want to be Rocky. Like that. So there you go. There's another one.
There's
Rocky.
Rocky's finally rounded it out.
Yeah. So like I wanted to, you know, especially the way he fought, he was tough. You know, he'd get the shit kicked out of him and then keep fighting and, you know, so that always resonated with me, like the Rocky movie and that sort of thing. And like for a while I was like, I'm gonna be a boxer, and then I was like, well, I can't really box. I can kickbox though, but
Yeah.
like I like to like wrestle and fight and do all this
Yeah.
stuff. So, you know, boxing is a lot different than MMA and kickboxing even. But yeah, so like those were my inspirations to kind of and fighting and in life.
Yeah, great list. Great list right there,
Yeah.
for sure. We always usually get some parental inspiration from the podcast.
Yeah, I assume, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of people,
You
right?
gotta throw it in.
That's their job, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like, you know,
yeah.
That's a fair point. I never thought about it like that. Yeah. Your goal is to make that Mount Rushmore.
right, yeah. If they don't, I feel bad for them.
Yeah. Well, I guess speaking of that a little bit, you get to have your kids training as well.
Oh, my daughter fights this weekend.
Awesome.
Okay.
What?
Yeah.
There you go.
So she's had quite a few fights already, but this is probably her 6th or 7th fight or something like that. But yeah, we're gonna go down to Garden City. I've got 3 other kids that are gonna be going out there and fighting as well.
Sweet.
And yeah, it'll be super cool.
Yeah. I'm sure that's a cool perspective for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's very hard because my daughter is the apple that didn't fall far from the tree. So she's like extremely stubborn like me and like very rigid and but tough as nails and can't accept losing. You know what I mean? Like, so I hope she does well this weekend.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
we do too. You do too for her sake.
Yeah. Otherwise, the weekend might be ruined. Nah, she'll do fine. She'll do fine. She'll do great. She's very like me, very tough, very gritty. She only knows how to fight one way, which is like right in your face and trying to kill you. So,
Technical bum rush.
bum rush, and that is her for sure. Honestly. So that's kind of fun, but yeah, and then, you know, my 2 other boys train as well. And my son, David, he's 10. He's had, I think, 2 little smoker kickboxing fights now too. So, you know, I just try to get them, I mean, the gym life's not a bad life. You know what I mean? Like, I like them.
A lot of good lessons.
It always makes me really happy. Like, you know, a lot of people at the gym, hey, Dave, hey, Alexa, you know, they feel like they're family there at the gym and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So it's kind of a second home, and that's the environment that I wanted them to grow up in. That was part of the reasoning for me opening a gym as well, too, right? Like, it was to help other people, but also help raise my kids in that environment, too.
Man, that's awesome. Yeah. That's really cool that you had the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, absolutely, man, for real. Yeah.
For sure. We gotta come do some bonus content over there.
Definitely should, man.
Go to like a kickboxing class or something.
Yeah.
That'd be
yeah, why
fun.
not? Yeah,
Let's
for
do it.
sure.
Yeah, I can own you like I did
Whoa.
last time.
Whoa.
Hey.
Starting the trash talk
I'm just
early.
saying.
I'll play the mental games later. You know? Your mustache sucks.
Whoa.
Man, low blow, man.
Went there. I went there.
Blow.
Starting
It's
early,
okay.
baby.
Yeah.
But stuff later.
I guess what would you have to say to like somebody who is possibly interested in learning more about fighting or coming to your gym, or somebody that's like just interested in MMA in general but doesn't know too much about it, or
what I tell everybody, just show up. Like that is literally the hardest thing to do, right? For anyone, whether it's, you know, the guy down the street trying to lose 10 pounds, just show up at the gym.
Yeah.
That's what you have to do. Like once you're there, you got to do it, right? You're not going to walk in the door and then walk out. So showing up is the hard part, right? The first step's the hardest, as they always say, right? So like, you know, I always highly encourage. I'm like, that's why we do free classes for new members and stuff like that. Like, come try it out because you're going to love it. You're going to have fun and you're going to realize it wasn't as scary as you thought it was, right? So, you know, for the people that are new and want to try it out, that's what it is. Just show up.
There you go. There you go. And to do a final little send away question. I know that was kind of one of them, but we've been talking about a lot of people who have really determined passions as well as high performance in that area. So what can you tell about people for finding their passion and finding, you know, how to perform at a high level at that? First off, finding the passion, you know. I think show up would probably apply as well there, you know, trying it out. But what would you say?
Man, are you talking about passion and anything?
Anything, man. Broad question.
Goodness gracious. That is a very hard question because I think for a lot of people, finding something you're passionate about is extremely hard. I mean, I was lost when I was a kid. Like, I got into a lot of trouble, and the people around me, I bet if you took a vote on whether I'd end up in prison, would have all voted. If they had to bet,
it wasn't majority.
If they
it
had
was
to bet their
unanimous.
mortgage, it was a unanimous vote that I would have not ended up where I am today, and as the dad I am today, and the family man and this and that, right? Like, so finding that passion, I will just say, is extremely important because that passion helped me dedicate my life to something better, and I mean, just quite literally, fundamentally changed who I was and helped me become a better person. So when you find a passion, my advice would be simply to be double down. Double down, triple down. If you love it, pursue it. Pursue it even in failure, right? Like even if that does end up, you know, I had a friend that wrote music, and he never made it to being on the radio and, you know, making millions of dollars, but he still writes music. He's still happy and he still loves it, you know? And I'm like, dude, that's your passion. Keep doing it. Don't stop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I mean, I think had I never made it to Bellator and never made it to being a professional fighter, that I'd still be fighting. I'd still be in the gym. I'd still be training. So when you find a passion, double down.
That's amazing advice.
That's great advice. Yeah.
Heck yeah. What a note to end
All
on, man.
inspired. Yes.
All inspired, all full, man. Dude.
So if people want more information about you, about your gym, what's the best way to reach?
Yeah, so we have a website, 316fight.com, or 316gym.com, excuse me. So they could just check out the website. You know, everybody uses Google, so just Google 316 Martial Arts, give us a call. Either I'll answer or Andrew. He's our gym manager. So any questions? You want to come try a class? Just show up, baby.
Yeah. Just show up. Well, yes. Woo! Well, thank you so much for coming out today. You know, you completely showed why you are our number one choice. Great interview, such a great time learning about you and your journey and everything. And so, yeah, we're just...
Hey, man, it was great.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yes.
We're glad we could get you on here, man.
No, I had a fun time, guys. Honestly.
Appreciate it.
It was a
Yeah.
lot of fun.
Dude, for sure.
So thank you for tuning in to this week's episode. Make sure and like, subscribe, and leave down some questions or anything more you want to know about in the comments below. And we are out.